you were to speak to your healthcare professional, rather than sort of saying, look, I'm going to be doing something that's going to cure all my diseases, that would be disingenuous. Nobody would be making a health claim like that. But if you were to approach it from a different side and say, look, is there any harm in me cutting out junk food, highly processed food, high fat, high sugar, high salt foods, highly processed foods? Is there a risk to me in doing that? Hello and welcome to Sweet Liberation, as we talk this week about the challenge that we had last week and our vision for the coming weeks. This is going to be an epic summer of helping people, serving people, supporting people and educating people. It was a great event last week, wasn't it, Luke?
It was amazing. We had so much fun actually doing all the deliveries and having the people to coming, and the guest speakers turning up and talking live on the actual challenge, which was amazing. I had a lot of fun, and it was really a good eye opener, and it was absolutely amazing. Thoroughly.
Yeah. Really enjoyed it, and I think it set the tone really for what we want to do in coming months in terms of doing more live events and really ensuring that we're reaching people in a very kind of direct way to find out really what their issues are, what their problems are, and how we can best support them. Is that the vision that you see as well?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that what was really encouraging as well is the number of people that registered, and so therefore if I may use the pun, we've hit the sweet spot for people, and I think that everything that we were doing and delivering seemed to be right on message for people. Certainly, the cupcake recipe was certainly a very big pull for everyone, and I think it was fantastic how you did that build out live. Actually on the challenge on the very last day for everyone. I think that was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, they were delicious. It was a full day of baking and really thoroughly enjoyed it. And also our VIPs got to see my mum's secret sugar-free orange cake recipe. And yeah, we had a lot of fun last week, and can't wait to be doing more events like that and reaching more people.
And it's lovely to hear feedback from some of the people that were involved in the event, and actually knowing that they've actually seen what we've been doing and actually taken something away from that, and actually feel really motivated to get started on this really important path that is and it is all about the journey, right?
Exactly. It is all about the journey. And just today, actually, I put a post just on reached out to people on my personal Facebook, just kind of detailing some elements of my journey to this point. And one of the things that was interesting for me is that it's now been 5 years since I started my journey for really making a kind of sustainable long-term change for the better for my health. And it's been 5 years now. And that is, I was reflecting on it, thinking, wow, how have I managed to do this for so long? And I think for me, it's finding that way of making sure that life still looks normal, and that still looks like it did in some ways. Not everything's going to be the same when you quit sugar, when you take that motivation to take the next step in your health journey. But if you can still enjoy some of those comforts, and I think we talk about that a lot in Sweet Liberation and in Zukr as well, about the importance of sweet treats. And we talked about that last week, didn't we?
We did, yeah. And for me, I mean, I've been kind of sugar-free, and I haven't bought any sugar for knowingly bought sugar, I will add, for 3 years now. And a lot of people that I talk to, it's all about those baby steps. And I didn't really get that when I first started my journey 3 years ago. And because all I did, the first step I did was swap out those 5 sugars I was having in a coffee, and that was an amazing transformation, and that was so easy to do. And it was there that the snowball started to roll, and then having the cakes and then seeing everybody's reaction. That's the bit that I love, is actually but certainly with those cupcakes, seeing the reaction and seeing how the deliciousness that is clear on everyone's face. I think that's the big revelation for me, seeing how everybody enjoyed so much.
I think it's coming with a different message as well, and the message of wellness being joyful, and wellness being easy to achieve, and wellness being right there at your fingertips. Easy, joyful, enjoyable, and achievable for everybody. Because certainly if I can do it with all of the things that have happened for me in my health, and had so many benefits from it, then I think it's such an important thing for people to try to do. And I was having a conversation with somebody today, actually, and just going through doing a bit of coaching around lifestyle and autoimmunity and a few other things like that. And we were having this kind of deep dive conversation about how to present lifestyle changes to our GP. And the person was saying to me, I'm really afraid I'm going through this, these diagnostic issues and stuff like that. And they were really afraid about what the healthcare professional, the approach that they might have towards, these shifts that they're making with their diet and lifestyle. And one of the things I said was I think that really hit home to this person was that, if you were to speak to your healthcare professional, rather than sort of saying, look, I'm going to be doing something that's going to cure all my diseases, that would be disingenuous. Nobody would be making a health claim like that. But if you were to approach it from a different side and say, look, is there any harm in me cutting out junk food, highly processed food, high fat, high sugar, high salt foods, highly processed foods? Is there a risk to me in doing that? And I can't imagine any healthcare professional in the world ever saying, oh, yes, it's going to be very risky for you to cut out processed foods. No one's going to say that. So if you approach it in that kind of thing, no matter where you are at in your health journey, whether you're currently, wanting to improve on your fitness, or whether you're suffering with a long-term health condition, being able to remove those things out of your life is only ever going to benefit you, because it's going to give you that little perk. And it's those little incremental wins where you start to feel a little bit better every day. And before you know it, you feel so different. And so, it's a new normal for you. And which is a phrase that the government liked to say a few years ago when we were in the midst of the pandemic. This is the new normal. Well, it can be the opposite way. Rather, that was in a negative way. Now, if you're taking a health journey like that, the new normal can feel fantastic. And that's the thing. That's the key.
Definitely. The other thing I would say in terms of, as well, another little, if we can add some more cliches, the gift that keeps on giving is, I often think about it, because of all of the things that the fact that you're not so tired, you've got that extra boost of energy, all the food tastes delicious. That we all know that the cutting out sugar is such an important thing to do in our life. But when I say the gift that gives on giving, the thing that has been key for me over the years is tooth decay. And that's the thing. And I don't want to see it in children, certainly from my own experiences as well, and brushing my teeth. And I thought the other day, little anecdote really was that I thought, I've got to get to that hygienist. I've got a bit of tartar on my tooth. And I actually had a good old brush, and I was using the Zukr. And in fact, actually, I found that it actually really helped.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is just kind of a general improvement, small improvement in so many areas of your health and well-being, that those little small 5% here, 2% there, 5%, slightly better sleep, and then less sugar crashes in the day, and less overall fatigue and tiredness. These little things, before you know it, you can see the sparkle coming back into somebody's eyes. And that was, the thing that I was remarking on this conversation I had with this this person who's, just starting on this, kind of really looking at like an MOT, if you like, of their wellness, nutrition, just entire lifestyle changes. And they just, a few weeks ago feeling really rough, and now just saying, I actually feel really a lot better. And it's just that feeling of wellness. If you feel better, you start to be better. That's just what happens. It's just like a really positive snowball effect in the right direction.
Yeah, and actually you become, what happens as well is there's that an escalation of motivation, and I should coin that term, I guess, but the escalation of motivation is the fact that you started with small steps, and as you notice the difference, your motivation to keep going and trying new things actually is that is one of the key, and that is an excellent escalation in my view.
Hey, Sweet Liberation viewers and listeners, we're really excited about an event that we've got coming up, the 3-day sugar-free challenge. We're really excited about it because we're going to be able to give you all the tools that you need on your sugar-free journey. So with that said, love you and leave you for now, and back to the episode.
So, just in terms of cakes, then I just wanted to quickly switch on to cakes. Can we have a quick sort of run through over what your what are your favourite cakes? Because I mean, a friend of mine made me a lemon drizzle cake about 3 years ago. It's I need to tap them up for another version of that because I haven't had any since. But that was a great lemon drizzle cake with a lemon crust on it, and now that was fantastic. And also tiramisu. What about you? What's your favorite? What's your go-to recipe?
So my go-to recipe is always going to be cupcakes, just because they're like my emergency. Any configuration of it, chocolate cupcakes, vanilla cupcakes, and they're just so fast. You put them in 15, go, do something else around the house, speak to a friend, check your phone, they're done. And then out they come, they cool really quickly, and they're done. So my favorite is just getting cupcakes. I like having tea parties as well. I love having afternoon tea. I love those rituals which bring families together. And so, finding a way for those rituals to be healthier or even really healthy is just a great way of bringing people together, and that feeling of happiness, community, taking some space, taking a moment, taking a break, enjoying things together, enjoying food together is so important for me. That's the thing that I love most. So regardless of any cake, I mean, quite frankly, in my household, we just specialize in all of them, desserts and cakes, all the sweet stuff. So, but yeah, the tiramisu is great. That's another favorite of mine. And actually, that's one of the ones I made some little tiramisu bites at our charity event last year, and they were just devoured. They look really great. So maybe I think those would be a really nice thing to show people how to do, how easy they are. There's a couple more steps in the cupcakes, but they're definitely worth it.
Because they could become everything as well, couldn't they? Because they could actually go with coffee at the end of a meal. All of because they're small. It's like, yeah. I think also, of course, it goes without saying that the chocolate brownie is amazing.
The chocolate brownies are just, the chocolate brownies, I used to lead with the chocolate brownies, but the cupcakes have taken over. They've become like, they've got their own, they should have their own Instagram, those cupcakes, because they've sort of gone viral on their own thing.
I was going to say with the brownies, I mean, a lot of people add walnut, don't they, into brownies? Is that then a keto brownie mix if it's got walnut in it?
Yes, why not? And they are pretty low carb. I've got a few recipes for brownies, but I do like there's a couple ones that I've really particularly like that I copy actually Jamie Oliver's recipes on brownies. We just got a really good mix, but and we'd love to speak to Jamie as well at some point. We'd love to interview him because and Jamie, if you're listening, we need to get the sugar down in your brownies. Your brownies are awesome, but let me tell you, the Zukr ones are so much better, and you don't have to worry about the sugar. But yeah, so I've made some modifications, slight tweaks to his recipe, and actually they are spectacular. I've got a vegan option and completely vegan, a sort of plant-based option, no eggs, and another option which is actually got the eggs in it. So both are just delicious in their own way. And then I put this molten hot chocolate fudge sauce on the top. It's so delicious, you could cry eating them. They're just
again, that sounds very sugary, but of course it is sugar-free. It's sugar-free. The only sugar you can find in there is the tiny fraction that's in the cocoa powder, but that's almost minuscule, right?
Cocoa powder, that again, it's a naturally occurring sugar. It's not, so we don't use drinking chocolate. Obviously, we use cacao, pure cacao in the recipe. And then, yeah, there's only a very tiny amount of naturally occurring sugar in the cacao. And if you taste it, it's very bitter. So it's barely, it's barely there. So it's only that's in there. And we don't use now, we use unsweetened chocolate in it. So it's completely sugar-free. So it can be eaten by diabetics. And I've sort of made some modifications to those recipes as well to make them keto. So overall, they're extremely low carb, and the interesting thing is that you have a slice, and with a hot chocolate. I mean, seriously, this is a moment of just silence to yourself when you're eating these brownies. They're so delicious, but the thing is, you don't need to eat the whole tray. That's the thing. It's a very strange thing, because it does hit your pleasure centers, your enjoyment, but all of that, it still does the same. But there's something about removing the sugar that it doesn't have that same addictive quality, and which is a really good thing. You would have a second piece, that's okay, just because they are delicious, but you don't have that. It's that insatiable feeling. You do find that you get satiety from having. So sometimes if I'm going for a cake option, I might actually, because our cakes are so nutritious, they have protein and good fats in them, it's a meal replacement. So I'm not going to have, sometimes I'll go, do you know what, I'm intermittent fasting today, I'm going to skip, I don't want to have lunch, but I'll have a little slice of cake with some tea. And because it's got no sugar in it, that piece of cake that you had with some, with a cheesecake topping and all of that stuff, is quite filling. Yeah. And it's a replacement. So you can have cake as a meal, as a meal when it doesn't have the sugar in it, because it's just got some protein, some good fats, and maybe some nuts, depending on the recipe that we're making. Very low carb, if hardly any carbohydrates in it, or very small amounts, still very low carb and low GI, so fine for diabetics. And you can have it as a meal. I mean, come on, what is there to love about that?
And the other thing I wanted just to touch on, maybe you could, there's three other things there that I just wanted to quickly mention, is that it would be nice to have a live bake out with some bonbons. I know you made some chocolate bonbons today, and anything with peanut butter in for me is always a hit. Chocolate and peanut butter together, that sounds amazing. I want you to quickly touch on the the flour replacement for ground almonds, or almond flour. I'm not quite sure what they are. And then the third thing I want you to touch on was the fact that you made massive birthday cake, and all the parents couldn't tell there was no sugar in it. But obviously it wasn't, it was a unicorn cake. It didn't taste of unicorn, of course. So can you elaborate on what it was all about?
There's a story behind. Okay, so there's that was a whole fire of questions. So let me just start with the last one, because that's the only one I can remember right now. This is what happens at my age. Sometimes, short-term memory. You overloaded me with questions. Okay, let's go for the unicorn cake. There's a backstory to the unicorn birthday cake. My little girl, my youngest, who's now 9, has been having unicorn cake since she was 4 or 5. So every year she wants the same cake, and it's made in a ginormous cake tin like this, huge. There's about, I don't know, 30 slices will come out of it. It's ginormous. Okay. Anyway, she wants this same birthday cake every year. So I made it for her. The first year was sugar, and then I'd made the switch to sugar-free. So when she was 4, I had it with sugar. The second year I was like, oh, I can make it sugar-free now. Anyway, every year I've made it, and no one ever knows that it's sugar-free. And the parents came one year, and I'd made it, and all the parents had come to pick up their kids, and I let them all. I said, would you like some cake? There's so much cake there. I was like, have some cake. Yeah, have some cake. Wow, that looks amazing. They started doing, wow, this cake is amazing. It's amazing. And they go eating, talking about the cake. And then they were like, wow, I feel so naughty. I've had so much sugar. I'm like, it's sugar-free. And they're like, no, it's sugar-free. I was like, yeah, it's a sugar-free birthday cake. They couldn't believe it. So the idea of even having a sugar-free birthday cake, wouldn't cross most people's mind, because they think about diet food, which tastes vile, disgusting, revolting sweeteners. They're like, oh no, I don't want that. Why would you spoil somebody's birthday with some horrible sweetener? So when they tasted it, they could not believe it. But they were almost incredible. I had to literally show them that I had made it without sugar and how, and they were like, wow, okay, that is a really good birthday cake. And so yeah, that was great. Yeah.
What was it? Yeah, what was in it? Sorry, what was it made from? It had, was that?
Oh, okay, so yeah, so it has my sponge recipe, which is normally equal parts of, for the cake makers in listening right now, we have equal parts of flour, or gluten-free flour in this case, and then it's 100 grams of flour for 2 eggs. So
Okay. Yeah,
that's the
that's
ratio.
the ratio.
And I made an equal part. So people that know baking, they go, yeah, I know what you mean. It's an equal part sponge, so equal part of the flour, of the butter, and then with the eggs in proportion. So
And obviously,
plenty of vanilla in it, and that's my secret. And then the Zukr, obviously, which is the king of sugar replacements. It just, there's nothing that beats it. It is absolutely amazing. So that is the what we sweeten the cake with, and I find 1-for-1 with that works for me, because I think most cake recipes are too sweet. So I actually like the fact that Zukr is a little bit less sweet than sugar. It makes things less sickly and more palatable for me. So that has always been a hit. And then I like making my little girl particularly likes this cheesecake topping, so then I cover the cake with this white beautiful cheesecake topping and frosting. It's a beautiful white cheesecake frosting, and then leave it to set, and then I decorate it with, you know, kind of some sweeties. So that bit isn't sugar-free, because I'll use some sweets. Actually, you can get some really good sugar-free sweets now that I would use, maybe some jelly sweets, that kind of thing. You could cut those up and put them on. But if you haven't got access to those, and you want to use just you know, some other things to make the, you know, some standard icing, or you can make your own icing with some black food coloring for the eyes, that kind of thing. Anyway, I made this cake and I showed it. I'd made it on TikTok. I made it live on TikTok. And then it sort of went viral. It took off, this unicorn birthday cake. It went everywhere. And it became really popular, because no one had considered making a sugar-free unicorn birthday cake.
no, absolutely. Well, certainly rare as unicorns, as they would say. But the thing I was asking earlier on was just to touch quickly on this swap out of because I'm not a wheat eater. What wheat does to my blood is this is tested and it's been checked under a microscope. If I have wheat, then my blood cells will stick together, and then there's a sort of like an agglutination of I think it's probably the gluten sticks the red blood cells together. They can't move around very freely, and then I want to sleep. So I don't know what any of those terms are, but that's the byproduct of me having a sandwich even at lunchtime with wheat, and then by 2 o'clock I'm asleep in any meetings.
Yes.
So what is this swap out all about then?
Okay, so it depends on the recipe. I do use almond flour. Some people can't eat almonds because they are allergic to nuts. I also have a really good gluten-free flour that I use for some recipes as well. Both options, when you've removed the sugar out of a recipe, it all ends up being really quite low GI, even if you put
Right.
flour in it. But okay, so for in your case, it would be like a gluten-free person who's gluten intolerant, maybe somebody with celiac. Then if they are not allergic to nuts, they might want to try almond flour, and that really bakes beautifully. The sponge cakes that come with almond flour are just divine. I've made bread with almond flour before, bread rolls. I have made so many things. Coconut flour for me isn't quite there on some cakes. Cakes that take a lot of moisture, like a lemon drizzle cake that I make, I can make that with sometimes half almond flour and coconut flour, and then that tends to have a nice consistency, because I will use quite a lot of something like a Greek yogurt in it to make it quite moist and a bit dense, and that sort of holds. But if it's not used properly, coconut flour could be very dry. So I tend to use more moisture in my in the recipes with coconut flour, and I made all types of things with coconut flour. I've made flatbreads with it. I've made you know, tortillas, like big wide tortillas. I've made lots of things. So we will be showing people lots of alternatives over the coming months,
Wow.
how they can bake, and how this lifestyle is really, really easy to achieve,
Mm.
and how food can be amazing and delicious and good for
And
you.
so the almond flour that you call it almond flour is simply a whole almond that's ground into
Flour.
ground
Yeah.
almonds. Okay, so that's a ground almond, so it's a flour like any other thing. But the reason I was also wanting to touch on the wheat thing is that, and again, you might be able to explain this to me, is that the wheat, I believed, was turning into starch, whereas the almond is a better, something better for the bloodstream. Is that right?
I can't give you the ins and outs. I don't know enough about the science behind it, and perhaps actually that would be a great thing. I'd love to interview some people that have done even microscope studies on these things and see how they react on the body. Some people say that for them, they find wheat a bit. They feel bloated after eating wheat. That is quite a common anecdotal sort of comment that you'll find from people. They'll say, I had pasta yesterday and my tummy feels big and bloated today. I
Wow.
have heard the same thing said in North Africa, where people eat a food called couscous, which is kind of semolina, and then they make it at home and process it. We sort of make it by hand sometimes, or they buy it, but it's semolina, but it's wheat. Again, it's wheat. And again, there's a lot of the people in North Africa that I know, and then people can comment on this, that eat couscous daily. That is their sort of staple grain that they eat every day. Find that they do complain about bloating. They'll say colon problem. They say le colon, you know, that's sort of the tummy, the colon problems, they say. And it's just that they get the kind of those pains or bad digestion afterwards. So that's very common. The way they probably counter that as well is they have a kefir that they make at home. So that might provide some probiotics. Sometimes traditionally they'll put like yogurt on top of this kind of kefir on top of the couscous and eat it that way. I don't know, but anecdotally, this is just from my experience of you know, taking care of lots of patients in my healthcare profession, and also the friends that I've had, and in my travels to North Africa, I've heard people saying that. So wheat, anecdotally, people do say it can cause. Some people say it causes joint pains. For me, it's the joints. I do get bloated, but it's the joints. For you, you get tired.
Yeah,
So
well, I think there's joint pain, but I was more concerned about blood sugar levels jumping all over the
blood
place.
sugar spikes. So because it's a carbohydrate, it is a starchy carbohydrate. It breaks down into our blood exactly like sugar. There's no difference when you eat a bowl of pasta
Mm.
or you have a little sweet.
Mm.
In the end, the carbohydrate breaks down into your body and it becomes glucose in your blood. So your body, it produces insulin to be able to process that. It will push out the insulin and it will help you to bring that blood sugar down. And that is when you get this kind of crash where you get almost like you get too much blood sugar. The insulin kicks in and it pushes your blood sugar down, and then you get exhausted. You get this, I call it a carb coma, because I'm exhausted after eating a high carbohydrate meal. Do you get the same?
Yes, I do, and yes, because it's a known fact, isn't it, that the pancreas overcompensates. If it sees the blood sugar spike, it will then pump out more than it needs, and it actually crashes you. So that is the general thing that happens there. Yeah, I find it is the tiredness and the sleep, the fact that the blood sugar's all over the place. But as I say, certainly looking under the microscope and seeing, you know, that the actual impact on the blood cells
Yeah.
was the key thing for me. And I also think that, you know, I'm very keen to help people do break the habit I had, and that was that I was a biscuit eater and somebody that has to snack on something with a coffee. And I think those chocolate bonbons with the peanut butter. Now I know some people are allergic to peanuts, but for me, I grew up eating what we called marathons. They've now changed the name to Snickers, and a Snickers bar made by Mars over in Slough. They are, for me, the go-to bar. If in the old days where I would want to have, chocolate, peanuts, and
Yes.
and so therefore, obviously peanuts, chocolate, and we've replaced those. So the bonbons that you make with the peanuts.
Oh, the bonbons. So I make them with nut butter. So it can be peanut butter, it can be almond butter, it can be hazelnut butter. I've tried all the different nut butters and they are delicious. And so I make them into these little petit fours. So they're just of the right size that you might have one little one after a meal, and that would just satiate you. You would feel really, like you've ended the meal with a little treat at the end, but and you don't feel too full by eating it. Or you can just have it with a little coffee and then like a little snack to go. But they have got the nut butter, the cocoa powder, the ground zucchar, some vanilla in there. And then I've rolled them in some powdered zucchar, so it looks like they're rolled in icing sugar. Or sometimes I roll them in cocoa powder, so they look really like high-end bonbon. And I've used combination. Sometimes I'll melt some chocolate in, some dark chocolate without an unsweetened 100% cocoa chocolate, and yeah, it's absolutely delicious. And you get that beautiful, lovely rich flavor of the chocolate with the nuts, and that combination is just divine to me. I love that combination.
Sounds amazing. And are you going to are these recipes secret or are you going to share them? Because we've got an up and coming challenge, haven't we? And are you going to share some of these recipes? Or if people ask, obviously, it's a giveaway. Is it brilliant? Can I share before we start talking about? I want to share one very quick story. I was with my grandson on over the weekend, and he was out harvesting his strawberry collection. And he's got this bed of strawberries, and it's all beautifully done on straw. And he goes out and he harvests them every day. And he is having zucchar on his strawberries. And in fact, my son had said that he cannot now stand the flavour of standard sucrose, standard sugar. He can't bear the taste of it. So that is a brilliant.
What a win!
So so a beautiful anecdote that the family have now can't go back. So that is fantastic. So that is a massive, that's a pure taste test, there and then, and having a little sprinkling of the zucchar. As both my sons now have zucchar on their strawberries, and I'm sure my daughter does as well. And but certainly hearing that they can't return, as we can't, we've said the same thing. We cannot stand the standard sucrose. The flavour is repulsive. But anyway, what have you got coming up, Nabila?
So what we've got coming up is a bake-off. What we took away from last week and the feedback we've received, the questions we received, and the comments that we've received is that people want more of the cakes. The viral cupcakes have just gone all over the internet. People want more of that. They are tired and fed up of being told they can't enjoy life when they are on a healthy eating plan, and they want more cakes. So we are going to give more cakes to people, right. And we got an event coming up next week, which is a bake-off. If you are listening to this, you may get an invite. It is an invite-only event. However, we may be opening it up in the next few weeks to everybody. But the one next week, look out on your emails. If you're not subscribed, make sure that you subscribe to our Sweet Revolution newsletter, and you may be one of the people who is invited to attend this very, very selective bake-off. And then in coming weeks, we are looking forward to opening the doors to more people to our baking community. So that is the feedback that we've received, and we can't wait to get baking and to show families just how easy it is, so that we can get in the kitchen with the kids, everybody cooking, everybody baking together, and spending quality time together as a family, which is very important for our well-being.
It is. And so just run that by me again. In order to get the invite to this, what do you have to do?
You have to sign up to the Sweet Revolution newsletter, and we will make sure that we put a link to the newsletter somewhere around this podcast. You can also go to sweetliberation.co.uk, and if you go on there, it's got a little sign up form, and if you join sweetliberation.co.uk, you get subscribed to the newsletter. You also get our cupcake recipe and a few other things, but that's where you can go as well to subscribe. So there'll be a link somewhere around this video or audio that you're listening to, and yes, sweetliberation.co.uk. You can subscribe to our Sweet Revolution newsletter, and you'll get that every Friday.
Good. Well, I'm really pleased about that, because it's a VIP effectively event, isn't it? And it's invitation only. And of course, the thing is that it's really important, anybody that's listening, to go and register and actually pick up and take action on that, because what we're going to actually be doing, the platform that we're actually using, I believe there is a limit on the amount of people that can come, right? And so therefore, take action immediately and register immediately, because then we'll hold your place. Because with that license restriction that we currently have, that's why we're operating it as invitation only. So take action on that now and sign up, and then you will then immediately have a space reserved.
Yes, well, that's it. If you get an email from us, that means you're invited. So yeah, with that said, it's going to be exciting, because again, we are going to be doing more events throughout the year. That's what we are planning, and we want to make sure that we are ensuring that we are hitting our own goals, which is to make sugar-free living easy and fun. How can we do that? To show people how easy it is by baking together, cooking together, and having those wonderful moments where you just go, well, this is effortless. Why on earth can't I do this? If it's this easy, why am I not doing it? That's the question everybody should be asking when they come to one of our events. And it was great to get that feedback as well last week.
And the thing that people have also said is, where can I see the replays, right? And so therefore, anybody that it comes, right, will they be able to get the replay? Because if it's me and I want to do a bake out myself and I want to bake along with you, are you going to be making those replays?
That is all, yes. So
a little bit, yeah, okay, maybe, okay.
This time around, I can't give too much information away. You just have to subscribe to the Sweet Revolution newsletter by going to sweetliberation.co.uk and subscribe to the newsletter, and everything will be in the email. That's all I'm going to say now. I'm not going to give too much away.
Okay, great. Fine. And I'd love to see some of the recipes, and I'd love to know what you're going to bake in advance. But again, I guess that's a top secret.
Well, first of all, I think, yeah, so this coming week, I believe we're going to be going for some brownies. That is one of the things.
Great.
Just rule. So
Brilliant.
One of the days will be brownies, but that is all I'm saying. If you want to know more, you need to subscribe. I'm not giving any more away. It is not okay, because this is very selective. Very, very selective event.
Have you got anything else I can sign up to as well? Have you got an app?
Yes, so you get all of the information when you sign up to the Sweet Revolution newsletter by going to sweetliberation.co.uk. When you get your confirmation email, you'll get special access to our community platform, which is called Sweet Liberation. And we have a community app to encourage people, with loads of stuff in there, including recipes. So yeah, that again, you have to be part of our community to access that. It's not accessible to everybody. You have to sign up to our newsletter. You have to be part of our community, and then you get all the confirmation emails with all of the ways that you can access the community, the support, and the recipes.
I'm getting it now. Okay, I'm going to get that app. Lovely. Yeah. Thank you so much for explaining that. That's awesome.
Yes. So yeah, any takeaways from last week you want to share? Any last words, Luke?
My takeaway really was it's really encouraging that the amount of engagement that we had with people, and that there are so many people that realize that they need support in making a change. It's not something that is easy to do on your own. And I feel that my takeaway is that, I feel very encouraged by the number of people that have, come forward and said, we'd love to make a change. What are the first steps? How do I get started?
Exactly. And I feel the same way. And even today, I'm just getting people on my personal Facebook say, please, I need help. When I do so, yeah, there's so much that we're going to be offering people over the coming weeks and months, and we're really excited to do that, to be of service, to support people, and to show people just how easy all of this is. So, with that said, looking forward to seeing some of you next week. If you look out for your emails to check for a special invitation to our event, and then yeah, look forward to speaking to you again next week. Any further last things you want to say, Luke? No, that's it.
No, I think that's it. I think everybody just take action now, get involved. We'd love to have lots of people involved with this, also with the Q&A that's going to be following as well, the sessions. And then again, we're getting some feedback, getting some favorite recipes or things that people would like us to trial for them as well. And so that's part of the community and the engagement. So yeah, let's have fun.
Let's have fun. Let's do this. All right. With that said, we'll
Okay.
leave you and we will catch you again next time on The Sweet Liberation. Take care. Bye for now.